Boss told me how to organize my tools. I have been a mechanic for nearly 15 years. I am the lead tech in my shop, and my company just sold recently to a different corporation, and with that came a new boss. A little bit of history about new boss: he is 22 and the son of one of my older bosses, so everybody suspects a bit of nepotism at play. The older boss was ruthless and a jerk, and really put a dent in my confidence about being a mechanic, so I may hold somewhat of a grudge against the family, but I try to do my best to move on and just do my job. The new boss and I have had some minor issues already in the 3 months he has been here, but I'm the type of person who can generally put my feelings to the side if the money keeps ending up on my paycheck. Today, however, that changed. I will admit I am not the most organized person. I have ADHD and at 33 years old, am still learning to function without the medicine that I weaned off of at 26. My toolbox is normally cluttered, but I keep all my tools in my area or on top of my box. It's the system that works for me. This morning I clocked in and was about to unlock my box when the new boss came up to me and said, "You will not be working on cars today until your box is organized." I said, "My box is organized in the way that it works for me." He shot back with, "Not good enough for me or the company. I need to be able to find tools when I need them, and it needs to look neat and orderly for when corporate comes through." I paused for a second and said, "So you are telling me that you need to be able to find MY tools that I have purchased when you need to use them? I don't remember signing that agreement." He nodded and muttered something about insubordination, and that he would be passing off all the work to the other technician until it was completed to his satisfaction. I had assumed he was bluffing until 3 cars came in, and all 3 tickets were handed to the other tech. I don't have any problem being told to clean up, and I would have even done it his way, but I had a problem with his tone, and this was messing with my paycheck. So while he was in the back doing tire inventory, I opened the top drawer of my toolbox, spread my arms, and swept every single thing into the drawer that I could. I repeated for the second and third drawer until the top was clean. I used the same process for both of my smaller carts until each one could be closed and locked. Then I clocked out for lunch. I am currently sitting in my car in the parking lot eating lunch and browsing job listings while watching him try to open all of my drawers to use my tools, because 3 more cars came in and the other tech can't handle 6 at a time. Update. I clocked back in from lunch and boss asked to speak with me. Apparently he called the district manager and also his dad, who is a district manager of another district, for advice, and it sounds like they both told him to make it right, and that he could not afford to lose me. I know how it sounds, but it's true. He told me that he just wanted to make a good impression on corporate who would be coming through in a few weeks and that he shouldn't have targeted me personally. He paid me for the 3 vehicles he worked on, and I let him know that I was willing to work with him, but if he ever spoke down to me again, there would not be a do-over. I would leave. He also inquired about buying his own tools. He's not a bad dude, just a little anxious, I guess. I suppose I will stick around for a little, as the paychecks are worth it and the drive is convenient and I have a wife and a house to pay for. As for some of the responses, yes, I am somewhat of a slob with my toolbox, but I also average 10 to 15 cars a day, so I don't always have time or the drive to neatly organize my tools daily. He said he will be bringing his toolbox from home and calling or texting to ask to borrow before borrowing. I guess I am somewhat of a rare mechanic, as I don't mind people borrowing my tools as long as they are put back. Also, the empty toolbox comments, I own all 4 of my toolboxes, so they would be coming with me if I left. TLDR. My boss withheld work to make me organize my tools his way, so now I'm withholding my tools completely. Okay, HR. He's your problem now. This tale revolves around my time as a supervisor in a call center, an employee who didn't like me called Jamers, and my malicious compliance with HR. Jamers was a new hire, probably about 21 at the time. Young kid whom you could tell grew up privileged and entitled. But hey, I didn't do the hiring, and everyone deserves a chance starting out somewhere. I just wish this guy was hired somewhere else. Now, I prided myself as being a fair guy, friendly and understanding. Jamers, however, was always the victim and nothing was ever his fault. Customer complained on his service, not his fault. Incorrect information given, he was told the wrong information. Called off, something had come up beyond his control. On and on it went with him. Nothing ever his fault. The issue with me came to a head when I had to correct him on a call he took. The information he gave was so incorrect and potentially damaging to the client. I had to call the client and give them the correct information while apologizing for the misinformation. Company policy at the time caused this to be an automatic write-up. I brought Jamers to an office, door open mind you, to tell him he was being written up and why. At first it started with every excuse in the book. Then it started with him asking why I was being hostile and mean. I wasn't. And why was I yelling? Again, I wasn't, and the door was left open, so there would have been multiple witnesses. He refused to sign the write-up. That's fine, it would go in his file regardless. As we were done, he marched up to HR. About half an hour later, HR called me into their office. They asked me why I yelled and cussed at Jamers. WTF, now my bad for not having another sup with me when writing him up, but everyone would have heard me yelling had it happened. I'm a big guy and my voice carries. I denied this, of course. HR told me they were throwing out this write-up, since to them it wasn't a big issue. This act effectively neutered me, which caused a ripple effects. It was now known if I did my job, HR would just reverse anything I did. HR also told me from here on out, if Jamers had an issue or infraction, they would handle it. Okay, so here is where the malicious compliance comes into play. They had zero idea how many side conversations and other crap I had to deal with when it came to Jamers. Needed to call off, sorry, go talk to HR. Got a complaint, I'd tell him to go to HR and I'd send them an email why. Requesting a day off to HR you went. It became a fact that HR had to deal with him once to twice a day for months. Anything even slightly minor, I sent him to HR. I know it was driving them insane, as they hated to be bothered. Finally, HR asked me to have a meeting with them. They told me Jamers called off and he was going to be put on a final, and they wanted me to do it. I reminded them they asked to be put in charge of him. We came to a compromise as I wanted to play nice and said we both would. Jamers was brought to the office and told he was being put on a final for attendance. But it wasn't his fault, he cried he had to go to the doctor. HR asked for his doctor's excuse. He said he would bring it tomorrow. The next day, Jamers came into HR and said, "This isn't working out. I quit." HR got a hint of what I dealt with and the trash took itself out. I love the justice. You don't want to pay the estimate. That's fine, ma'am, enjoy your day. For context, the software development company I used to intern at uses a sheet to estimate the cost of building a certain software or update for a client. This sheet includes employees working on the project, how long they estimate it'll take, yada yada yada. After an intern goes around the departments collecting this info from the various employees, we then calculate the cost and send it to the client to accept or reject. Note, since our company is so popular in the area, we have a pretty long query sometimes, so if you reject the estimate, chances are you might have to wait in the queue all over again to request a new one. So the day was slow and they mostly had me man the phones and go on coffee runs, typical intern stuff. Then a client calls in saying she wants a piece of clock and software for her employees so she can more accurately track their work hours. By this point into my internship, I had done at least 4 to 5 of these sheets at least, and I was taught by my supervisor how to identify which departments would be needed for which projects. So after gathering the details from the client, I hang up and translate the needs for the employees, essentially explain it in programmer jargon. Half an hour later, I'm done with the sheet and I have checked the calculations 3 times, so I email it to the client, and I swear not even 2 minutes later I get an estimate rejected message on the company smartphone I was given. She added a reply stating this estimate is non-compliable with me. So I respond to it with, "We are sorry to hear that, ma'am. Please enjoy the rest of your day," and then I go about my business. Roughly an hour later, she emails the phone again asking, "Is that all you have to say?" By this point, I realized what she was trying to do and report to my supervisor that Karen was trying to haggle the price. My supervisor calls Karen's phone and asks if she would like to have the estimate resent to her so she can accept, and Karen outright tells her she wants a cheaper price, to which my supervisor tells her the price is non-negotiable and to take it as is, so Karen uses her signature move of "let me speak with your manager," but my supervisor simply informed her that she'd get the same response and just hung up on her. Karen eventually did call back and even showed up to the building to renegotiate the price but was shot down. But she was able to get a meeting with the manager to file a complaint for poor customer service and unprofessional behavior. My supervisor and I were called in and asked for our side of the exchange. We just gave them the chat log and proof that she rejected the estimate initially sent to her. She had no color in her face after those came out and couldn't even look at him. She was given a blacklist for us and recommended other companies.
Thank you so much for watching the video. For more video like this, please subscribe.